Hi, my name is Melissa Murphy. I am Pack 33's Bear Den Leader for Den 2 for the Justice District. This is my presentation for the Leave No Trace. It is going to be as simple as possible because this video is mainly for the boys who are ages 8 and 9. And especially being little kids, it's better off having something easy than something completely difficult for them to understand. My Leave No Trace presentation also has a PowerPoint that involves a lot of the information from the book I bought from Leave No Trace. I also went to their website. And the BSA also had some information on their website as well. I've tried to make it look easy, simply easy for them to understand. However, when I go into presentations, they get lengthy, so the video is supposed to shorten it for them. Like, as you could tell, I can't flip it, I guess. But I will be including this video in the presentation when I hand it in. So you guys get to see both sides of my world from like the counselor that I am to the den leader that I am. So, but let's get this presentation over with. So Leave No Trace has is a bunch of ethics. It's personal responsibility, what I believe in, and it's accepting that personal responsibility of keeping the ecosystem environment intact for everyone, animals, people, plants. Every organism should have a place to see the world, and personal responsibility is definitely a requirement. The ethics of Leave No Trace in the Boy Scout world is basically to reinforce the mission of the BSA and also the mission of the Leave No Trace ethics with their 7 principles, and to appreciate the natural environment that isn't interrupted by people that just come in and destroy the ecosystem from, let's just say, walking on the same path, in multiple directions, or disposing water in a lake. So I'll go deep into some of the principles of Leave No Trace and to further the awareness for the Cub Scouts. So when they watch this video, they could see that they will get a clear understanding from it. In my PowerPoint, you'll see that I have the Leave No Trace and what the BSA say about it, and using different judgments and experiences, especially different leaders have different ways of going about, especially with the type of boys that they could have in their den. From being like a lion to a Weeblo. In my case, their understanding and my frame are a lot different each year. So even getting the parents to understand, to make a commitment of teaching their kids on how to understand what there needs to be done to keep the environment definitely intact. So we want to make sure the outdoors is kept, even if it's from the simplest to teaching a lion how to pick up trash, to teaching a Weeblo that leaving any artifacts for other people to see is important, and getting to know the environment when the boys are getting older. So that will be a commitment for myself to teach my boys that as well, especially wanting to become a future trainer for the pack. So the 7 principles of the Leave No Trace, you will be seeing of what there are. So the 7 principles, which I have right there, are plan ahead and prepare, travel and camp on durable surfaces, dispose of water and properly, of any wastewater properly. Leave what you find, minimize campfire impacts, respect wildlife, and be considerate of other visitors. So within my presentation, I did want to do some experiments, like showing the boys how to build a campfire and to show them how to properly dispose waste, because that's something important, because now that they're becoming Webelos, they're going to be learning how to do these all properly, because they're going to be going on more campouts than they have in the past few years. And some of my kids are experiencing camping from past experiences, not just with being in the Cub Scouts, but from like families that enjoy out recreational camping, to actually going out and camping and going fishing and doing activities like that. But I will like to continue on sending videos of my boys of what they learned and how they are using the Leave No Trace principles, and continuing on the effort of the mission of just keeping the wildlife intact and showing them that they can actually do this. And so we'll continue on. So the first one, in any case, and I know a lot of people are like myself, love to plan ahead and especially prepare, because my kids are 8 and 9 and they're still young, and mom and dad do still, pack up their bags and making sure that they have their uniforms on. But it's not just that. With any planning, you definitely want to like make sure that you have every detail, because if you forget one little thing, the whole trip might be blown. But not always, because hopefully somebody in the den might have it. We definitely want to first we want to know, when preparing, where we want to go. So there's a bunch of questions I always ask myself when planning any type of trip, or even like an activity for the den. What needs to be done? And definitely the time frame, what is the perfect day and such. Even the location isn't very important. Now, the plan ahead and prepare, they have a lot of information. I purchased the cards, the info cards, because sometimes they're really good. And Leave No Trace their website had a lot of stuff for a reasonable price, and even the book too. I picked up, and so in my PowerPoint, it's going to show what the cards might say, because it's easier way that the kids will understand. So their first thing is saying is know the regulations and special concerns for that area that you visit. Depending on the area, the campsite, the hiking trail, you definitely want to use any type of planning style, making sure that you have a map or a GPS. But you definitely want to have a map in case, since you're out in the environment, a GPS might not always work. But you want to prepare for any type of emergencies, just in case you get lost. But even the planning stages too, you want to make sure that you know where you're going and the directions you're going, how long of a day you want to be consisting of. Definitely knowing the area will be tremendous, especially the regulations too, because some areas, if you're going to a campsite that you're visiting, we visited our hometown, Camp Uteaming. They have regulations. Even if we go into a different campsite that's outside our district, we definitely want to make sure that we're respecting their rules and their area, so other people can actually enjoy it as well. Prepare for extreme weather, hazards, and emergencies. You definitely want to make sure that you want to check out the weather for that day, because in case of a thunderstorm or whatnot, you definitely want to plan ahead just in case something really bad goes, especially with little kids. You always want to have with plan A, a plan B, and making sure that there are shelters involved and safety areas, and definitely having contact information. So definitely prepare for anything of that. Schedule your trip to avoid time of high use. In that case, definitely have a time appropriateness in the area. Because further into the principles, you're going to learn about durability of the surface and basically how to take care of the land so that other people could use it too, and minimizing the use of it. So that, let's say, the grass that you're using doesn't go bad or it dies or whatnot. You want to be respectful of the environment. Visit in small groups when possible. Consider splitting large groups into smaller groups. Luckily for me, I only have 5 boys in my den, so it's very easy to travel with them. And in fact, sometimes some of the parents might not come. So we definitely have to use the youth protection regulations, so that in the BSA that in my den also we are sticking to the regulations when it comes to planning. And so, but definitely when you go into smaller groups, you have lesser chance of destroying or limiting the use of the place so other people could use it. Repack food to minimize waste. I always teach my kids to pack, the less that you pack and the less waste you have. If you pack in, you're also going to pack out. So we'll go into further details later in that, because there's more involved with repacking food and to minimizing waste, especially when you go camping. So we'll go deep into that. Like I said, use a map and a compass is definitely important to bring, to limit the use of marking paint, rocks, and or flagging. I know with my den, I'll be using trails that have already been marked, so that's definitely better for those if you're unexperienced hikers. If you're an experienced hiker, you would definitely know that you want to use a well-defined map. And even in case of an experienced hiker like myself in my den, I know some of my kids, they have learned about maps and how we go about doing it, like going into further of like how to mark our territories of where we've been. So checking off and using compasses, and the kids have started to learn how to use longitude, latitude. So I know definitely like some of the essential things that you definitely want to bring. I wrote some of the gear. So on here in my PowerPoint, I have 10 essentials of gear. Definitely a map and a compass, or we said a GPS, but definitely a map. A flashlight, extra food, a water and purification, extra clothes or rain gear, definitely sun protection. For adults, they should definitely bring maybe matches or a fire starter, like a flint, and so on. And there should always definitely be a first aid kit, especially with the leader. I recommend with my kids that they should bring a first aid kit, because knowing a 9 or even an 8-year-old, you might have your accidents. So definitely look into that. There are more like teachings of what to bring. My kids were well known to make lists and definitely making sure that they bring what they need, because each kid is also different. Also, the less that you pack, the less that you have to bring out. Traveling in camp on durable surfaces. Research reveals that if you use vehicles trampling impacts plants and soils, which occur by these surfaces. They usually recover slowly. Minimize the impact in popular areas by concentrating your activity on the most durable surface available in a pristine area by doing your activity in low impact areas. So you never want to form like a new area that hasn't been used. So if you see a whole big field that's green grass, stick to like a small area. The less footprints, in the grass, the less the environment's going to be impacted. Even like when you're hiking on a trail, try to stay in the middle, walk through the mud, walk through each other's footprints. It will definitely help, unless you have to bypass somebody on a trail. Definitely do it with the Leave No Trace guidelines, and you could definitely find them in the cards that I will be handing out to my boys, and then also definitely looking into like different other resources. And you definitely want to pass other visitors and wildlife with respect of the animal, and there are special directions that you do want to use, even when it comes to using like transportation on trails, or like bike riding and such. Even like horseback riding too. You definitely want to follow the rules of what Leave No Trace states. But my kids will just mainly stick to hiking right now because of their ages, and it's more easier for my den to keep an eye on them than most dens. Durable surfaces include established trails and campsites, rock, gravel, dry grasses, or even snow. You want to protect the areas by camping at least 200 feet from lakes and streams. And the 200 feet from any type of water source is going to be important and Leave No Trace, especially when it comes to camping, disposing of waste, of any waste, and we'll get into that later. And even when it comes to like building a fire too. So we'll get into that after. Good campsites are found, they're not made. So that's always a good tip to always remember, because altering a site is not necessary. We don't want to create a whole new site because that will just damage the land. So we want to concentrate on the use of existing trails and campsites. I know a lot of camps in the area, especially in the Hudson Valley area, they create trails for people, and they try to tell people to stick on those trails. One of the well-known ones around here in Dutchess is called the Red Trail, and it's found in Camp New Teaming. So there's those, and then if you go off into like a different trail, if you go like to Mount Beacon or such, you want to follow their trail plans, and especially stick to the mapping of it. Keeps campsite small. You want to focus on activities in areas where vegetarian is absent. So like try to do most of your activities not in the grass, because we want to keep the grass growing, because sometimes it will die. And then just avoid places that you could impact that are beginnings. So that's just making sure you don't want to create a new trail. One of the biggest things that when you go hiking or even camping, luckily enough for some of us, we camp within where there's a latrine or a bathroom. Some cases that might not be possible for kids or adults, especially once they go into Boy Scouts. So dispose, I don't know why I say deposit, but dispose water properly. Pack it in, pack it out is our motto with the Leave No Trace, even like with the Cub Scouts. You want to inspect your campsite and rest area for trash or spilled food. Pack out all trash, leftover food, even litter. So if you know how to pack a decent cooler with the less trash, it'll make your camp easy. So for that, like, before you go camping, when you're packing up your stuff, try to cook all your meats or any ingredients are easy. Use like plastic Tupperware. Try to get trash out. Like Ziploc bags are always great because you can always reuse them once you wash them. And you can keep your cooked products in there, and even tinfoil too. I know we've used a lot of reusing of tinfoil. I know it might be bad for some, but you could actually put it in good use once it's washed. Even Tupperware is awesome too. So definitely cook a majority of your food, even if you can like start making the foods like that to prepare for, it'll help you out. And definitely create like a list and label things so you know what is done and that needs to be done at the campfire. One of the biggest questions is the bathroom issue. So, according to Leave No Trace, we want to deposit solid human waste in a way where if there is no bathrooms, you might have to dig a hole in the ground. These are well known as cat holes. Cat holes are dug 6 to 8 inches deep. You want to be at least 200 feet from the water, campsite, and any trails because you don't want people or animals to be close to it, and you definitely don't want to destroy the water sources. And you want to definitely cover and disguise the cat hole when you're finished. So this was one of the activities I wanted to do with my kids. I wanted to show them a diorama of a cat hole. One of my plans was to take a see-through bin and actually dig a cat hole for them to see it, and literally show them the process of doing it. Then I want to show them like how to properly disguise it. So when you finish using a cat hole, you want to like put soil into it, and then once it's like compact down, you want to stick a stick in it. This will probably be in another video I'll create with my kids and show them, because I definitely know this summer I'll be planning, I think, 2 camping trips with the kids, one for pack and then one with our den. So one of the other things that you want to remember, because that all people, I definitely know I need, is you want if you're going to use toilet paper or any hygiene products, you definitely want to pack that out. Dispose of it easily. You definitely want to use like a Ziploc bag, and showing them how to dispose of it once it's done. I mean, it is kind of gross. The kids are going to find it gross, but it's going to make their lives a little easier. There are actually other forms of ways that you can just pack out stuff. I know like you can create a little like tube out of like PCP pipes or anything like that, and you can carry it out and it won't even mess around with your stuff. So even like with toilet paper, if you're going to bring it, don't bring like the whole roll, but bring enough where like you could fold it up in like a baggie, and you could toss it out once you find a garbage pail or once you go home. The other thing is when you start camping is how to wash your dishes or any of like your cups and whatnot, like when it comes to cleaning up meals. So to wash yourself or your dishes, you want to carry water 200 feet away from streams or lakes and use small amount of biodegradable soap. I was taught in another training that Dawn is very good. If you put a little bit of Dawn in the water, it will help out the environment because it won't impact it so much. And I think it's also EPA approved. So you could definitely use a little of that if you don't know what kind of products to use. And I bet you like you can find a lot of stuff like online information too. You definitely want to scatter strained dishwater. If you're going to clean dishes and you're using your 3-bucket system or 4-bucket system, definitely strain your food out into a baggie. Use like cheesecloth to like drain out the water, and then like scatter the dishwater like evenly across. So once you you don't want to go throw it. You just want to scatter it so it'll evenly out. But make sure you have no food in that water. If you're gonna use I personally, if you're gonna use some people use a stationary where bleach is used, I pack that out because I feel like if you're gonna use bleach, you should definitely not put that in the environment. So definitely pack that out. You can use a coffee can to help you dispose of that after. And then when you go home, you could dispose it in the garbage. So I think with remembering disposing waste water or any human bodily functions, definitely either pack it in or pack out, or dispose of it 200 feet from any type of water, campsite, and trails, and they'll be fine. There's also a lot more information in the Leave No Trace book that you can get for it too. I'll show you what a little cat hole looks like. So for my kids, I would definitely show them how to dig one out. So 6 to 8 inches using a little trowel or shovel. Leave No Trace actually has some to purchase, and it'll show you the exact directions on what to do. And then what you want to do after using your little cat hole, you want to put the dirt in it and put a stick in it so other people won't know that you went to the bathroom, but they won't use that spot. Also, I've learned for those who go to the bathroom, urinating, we use cat holes for solid waste. So for urinating waste, for little boys, make sure they don't go on trees. As much as it seems tempting, I've learned in the past, if you sprinkle on a rock that is pointed in the sun will dilute the urine into water, which will go into the ground, and it's actually more helpful. For females, it's kind of hard, but I mean, females are a lot different, but if we have to use near a tree, I would go not on the top of the tree because we don't want to kill the tree, but go next to it and make sure we're not near a water source. Leave what you find. So leave what you find is definitely talks about what kids pick up or what they find in the environment. So some kids would find arrowheads. So we definitely don't want to how can I say this? We want to preserve the past. So with arrowheads or even any type of artifacts that we find historically wise, we want to leave there. So we want to examine them. We could take pictures all that we want, and that's great. You could take pictures. You can I know with my kids we've done where you take a pencil and a piece of paper and we sketch it out, or even can't think of the word, but it was almost like tracing, and you can actually use it that way too with paper and pencil. But we don't want to touch it. We want to keep any structures intact, and we definitely don't want to break anything off to bring home. We want to leave rocks, plants, other natural objects that you find. Avoid introducing or transporting non-native species. That's a biggie. Let's keep the little frogs or newts or anything that we find in the wild. If you're doing an activity where I know a lot of the Cub Scouts have to create a little bug farm or some type of habitat, create the habitat. You can slowly introduce the little creature into that habitat, but make sure you get that creature back into its own habitat. So only examine for a little bit and then go. But you can make little habitats that are easy outside that won't disturb their natural environment. So you can definitely do that. There's some great books out there, or even on some websites, and that can just help you describe like creating an opened creature like habitat where the animals or insects can go in and out, and you can observe them from there. Ant farms are like one of them too, so something like that. Do not build structures, furniture, or dig trenches, because you never know where you might be, and you don't want to start something where you destroy the land, and you definitely don't want to destroy any property that is preserved. And we definitely live in a historical area, so we don't want to destroy the land. I teach my boys that all the time. Please keep the stuff on the ground. Take pictures. Ask mom and dad for a camera. One of the big things I'll be teaching my boys is minimizing campfire impacts. Now that they're Webelos in another month, they're going to be learning how to build campfires. Especially more death-regulated ones. Campfires can cause lasting impacts to the back country. We want to use a lightweight stove for cooking, or enjoy a candle lantern for light. We definitely know we want to use campfires. We've been taught that, as kids, that, hey, let's have a bonfire. But if you use a smaller fire to cook or for lighting, it's less for the environment to take a toll on. We definitely want to use fires where they're permitted. Use established fire rings. We don't want to make one if not, unless we have to. Fire pans or mound fires. One of the activities I wanted to do with the kids, and I'll make another video for that, was to show them how to make a impact fire where where it's not a big fire like we're used to. So I definitely want to show them that once I get more involved in camping, because I think they'll enjoy learning something about that. But I was going to bring a demonstration to my presentation, the same that I was taught at the Leave No Trace Awareness training, where a gentleman showed us a campfire that he built, and the different layers, I'm going to say, of the campfire. So definitely to preserve the ground, he used a tablecloth, and then he put some dirt on it, like a little mound of dirt. He used 3 rocks, and then he built his fire. I believe he built I'm not good with the names, but it was a decent sized fire. The style of the campfire was definitely using tinder wood and small, I don't want to say logs, because logs are huge, but durable sticks for cooking. And then he used a grate for to show that you could put your pots and pans on. I know when it comes to my kids, I would use a stove, because it would be a lot easier to clean up and pack away. There won't be any damage to the ground. If we were going to create a fire, we definitely would create a fire that was already in a pit, a fire ring pit that's already been made. Because if you continue using those, the less other ground area is going to be destroyed. We definitely want to keep fire small. We only want to use sticks that were found on the ground, so definitely don't destroy trees. We don't want to break anything by hand. We want to make sure that when it comes to cleaning up a fire, we want to make sure that all the wood in the fire is burned, or even the coals to ash. We want to put out the fire completely by not dumping water, but slowly running water over it, where it doesn't become too muddy, but the fire's starting to go out. Definitely move the ashes around to make sure that there's no lit places, because when you add oxygen to fire, it'll start up again. Once that is done, once the ashes are cool and you know there's no more lit flame, you want to scatter the ashes out. So you don't want to leave the fire right there. So just definitely like put it somewhere like as if it was like a mulch in some cases, where like it's not even seen, scattered about. I would definitely keep to the 200 feet from any water source, because you don't want to add anything contaminated to the water. Same goes with logs. And you basically want to make sure that the land that you started a fire on looked like the land that you got there. So if you see green grass, I'm not saying green grass, but like if it's a clean dirt area, you want to keep it that way. So I have a little diagram of how to put a fire out. So we want to let the fire burn down naturally. We want to spread out the amber so they die, leaving only ash. We want to pour buckets of water on the ashes until soaked. Lake or stream water will do. Just remember, like, we don't want to like dump it. We want to make sure the fire's out. Ensure the firing area is cool. You can always use the back of your hand, because that's where it's the most sensitive, but you can get the most temperature reading from it. Before you want to depart the ring. So you want to take any ash like here, and then you want to like take a small shovel and like spread it out. And once it's done, and then you want to remember to place the rocks. If you created a ring, remember to place the rocks back to the area that you found them. If you found ash on the rock, if you have ash on the rocks, make sure that they're facing down, because you don't want anything leaving the area, or destroying the area. Definitely don't want to make a campfire like that. So it's definitely not that big. You definitely want to size it down. Okay, so respect wildlife. You want to observe wildlife from a distance and do not follow or approach them. Yes, kids are very observant, and yes, they do want to touch. You definitely want to educate them on the type of species in your area, in case one does pop up. We do have some bear sightings, definitely a lot of deer. We do have eagles in the area, so you definitely want to show them respect of the animals and the environment as well. You want to teach them to never feed animals. Feeding wildlife damages their health, alters their natural behaviors, and exposes them to predators and other dangers. So if you're feeding the bears your food, they are going to start coming out for more. We want to protect wildlife and your food by storing rations and trash securely. I do have a picture of, I believe, on how to store your food when you're camping. You definitely want to put it up in a tree, like in a sack. I'm still learning how to use one of those methods, because I have never gone camping like that before. We've always packed our things in a car, so if you're gonna pack food in a car, it might be a little safer depending on it, but usually we pack in and out. We usually have one individual taking our food in and out of the campsite, because he never stays in. So we want to control pets at all times, or leave them at home. Pets are a big thing when it comes to Leave No Trace. You definitely want to follow the same teachings and ethics as you are for yourself to them. Because pretend a pet is like a human. If you're bringing them, you want to pack in and out. Pack a backpack for the dog or the horse. And if they have waste, you do the same thing. Use all the methods. So we want to avoid wildlife during sensitive times like mating, nesting, raising young, or winter. The kids will learn about the different wildlife and their behaviors and when not to like show them their vulnerability during those times. The Leave No Trace will have a lot of information. Even during in the BSA, there's a lot of information about wildlife and how to go about making sure that they're not being in distress and being interrupted during those times. So I do have a diagram of how to pack out trash and how to store food at night, which is really awesome because you definitely want to like learn about the different things. So in the first picture, it shows how to store food at night and the step-by-steps. And this could be great for one, like if you're in like an area with bears and we want to place all food and scented items, including lotions, lip balms, and toothpaste, into a designated bag. It could be like a sleeping bag, stuffed sack, works nicely. And then attach bag to a thin nylon rope, at least 20 feet in length. And then, my bad. And then you want to toss the end of the rope over a sturdy tree branch at least 10 feet above the ground and 3 feet from the tree trunk. So let's say this bear, they can't climb up the tree if they are able to, and to get the bag easily. And then you want to pull the bag up with the rope and tie it off so the bag is hanging 10 feet in the air. Now, how to pack out trash so we were talking about how to pack in, pack out. So we want to definitely unwrap any items and meal bars or anything like that before leaving home. So I did talk about like making sure like if we had any type of trash, we want to definitely leave that at home and minimize the mess that we were bringing. So place all other trash in a plastic trash bag, which I did talk about. Like I talked about using like Ziploc baggies, using materials that you can easily wash too. Never burn trash while camping. And then once you're like done with your trash, if you have trash, you want to secure the trash bag at night with your other food. So if you have like a second bag or create a second line, but I would definitely try to put everything in one together to make life a lot easier for you. That's one of the ways that you want to make sure you're securing food, because you definitely don't want to endanger the animals, because once they get have a habit of eating people food, it's hard for them to stop, and then it changes their behaviors and they're going to sort out how to get more for it. So having a kids understand that don't feed Bambi, it could hurt them. It could hurt them internally, and it's going to hurt them more if they can't even get it. Because then they're going to come out of their own natural habitat and look for it, and it might hurt them in other ways too. So we want to be considerate of other visitors. So respect other visitors and protect the quality of their experience. And we want to be courteous. And we definitely want to, like, if we're hiking, I talked about how we should use the same trails, and using the trails by like walking through the mud and stepping in each other's footprints. There's also definitely like when it comes to yielding to other users of the trail, and we want to like there. Remember how I said there's like special rules? Well, there's these rules. So like if we're like about to pass some hikers on the same trail and this trail is not big enough, and we want to make sure leave no trace, and not many footprints, what we want to do is we want to step down a hillside of the trail and then go and let the other hikers go by us. So when encountering pack stock, and then if we're gonna take a break and camp away from the trails or other visitors, we want to make sure that we're on a durable surface and that we're going to be camping in an area where there's not that much growing. So camping on like a dirted area instead of like a grassy knoll. If we have to camp on a grass, you definitely want to pack it in not too tight, but making sure that the tents are not spread out, because we want to let like nature prevail and showing that, you know, we're respecting it and that we know that the ecosystem needs to be in its one form. Let nature sounds prevail. Avoid loud voices and noises. So don't like blast music. Don't shout. Don't yell. I know that's always the biggest thing for my cubs is yelling and screaming and having outside voices when they should have like inside voices when it comes to that, because you never know what kind of animals or